Aggregation uses a pipeline in MongoDB. And if you're familiar with the Unix world, you probably know what pipes look like. For instance, if I wanted to look in a directory and find the size of every subdirectory in it, du-s star piped to sort -n, that would numerically sort the size of the subdirectories and print them on my screen. So that's the Unix world of pipes. And we have a similar idea of a pipeline here. At the very top is your collection. And for instance, that products collection is sent through document by document. The documents are piped through this processing pipeline, and they go through a series of stages, and then we eventually get a result set. Now, the one stage I showed you is the group stage, which is going to do the aggregations. But there are lots of other stages. There's a potential sorting stage and a matching stage where we filter for documents. I'm going to go through each one real briefly to explain how it works. But these stages can appear multiple times inside the pipeline. If you recall, when I showed you that aggregation command, there was an array inside the function call. And the reason there was an array is that each of the items in that array is a stage of the pipeline that is going to transform that collection. Okay, let's go over each of these pipeline stages quickly and talk about what it does. The first one is $project. Now, just to be clear, you can have these pipeline stages appear more than once in the pipeline, and they also can be in many different orders. But what project is going to do is it's going to reshape the document. It's going to select out certain fields and also potentially select one out from deep in the hierarchy and bring it up to the top. So it's a reshaping of the documents. And for every document that comes into the projection stage, one document is going to leave the projection stage. And so we say this stage is 1-to-1 in terms of its handling of the documents. Another stage is $match. Match is a filtering step where you can select out only the documents that you want to analyze in the aggregation. So for instance, in the previous example where we had documents that had different manufacturers, we might decide to only filter on the manufacturer being Samsung or Apple. And so this is going to be an n-to-1 filtering, where we're going to reduce the number of documents potentially. The next operator I want to discuss is the group operator. This is really central to aggregation itself. This is going to allow you to do the aggregation. I'm going to write aggregate. And inside the group stage, you can use things like sum and count that will group together the documents and perform these aggregation functions. So by its nature, this is an n-to-1 stage where we're going to reduce down the number of documents as we go through this stage. Now you can also sort your documents, which does pretty much what you'd expect. Sorts the documents in a particular order. Sorting by itself is a 1-to-1 operator. Every document that comes in comes out, although maybe in a different order. And once you finish sorting documents in a pipeline stage, it could be interesting to, let's say, skip forward in the documents, and that just skips. Much like you would when doing a query, if you sort, you might want to skip forward from the result, let's say skip 10 or skip 100, and then by its very nature, skip is going to be an n-to-1 transformation, which is that some documents are going to enter that are not going to exit. You can limit the number of documents that you send through to the next stage, and limit works very naturally with sort and skip. So you might sort by something and then skip the first 100 and then limit yourself to 20, and this limits the number of documents that goes through the stage, that come out of the stage, I should say. And again, this is an n-to-1 transformation where we're going to reduce down the number of documents. Now, in order to group by something in a hierarchical document that may in fact have an array of items, we need to somehow flatten this data, and the way we're going to do that is with the unwind stage. And that's going to essentially normalize our data. All right, let me show you how it works. So let's say you had tags inside a document, and you had red, blue, and green. If you put the document through an unwind stage, you would wind up with 3 documents, one that had tags red, one that had tags green, and one that had tags blue. Everything else about the document would be the same. So we'd unwind on tags. So this creates an explosion of data, but it makes it possible to run the group bys that we want to do and the aggregation functions that we desire. So this is going to expand the number of documents we have. If for any given document, if there's n items in an array, we're going to get n documents out. So these are the main operators that we're going to use in aggregation. Normally, aggregation puts all of its output, returns it directly to you as a set of documents in a cursor. But if you want to redirect those documents to another collection, you can do it with
the $out stage and name a collection that should get the results. So this is all about taking the output of the aggregation. 1-to-1, everything that comes in goes out. And then some stages that we're not going to heavily get into in this particular course, but you can read about them online, are $redact and $geoneer. These operators are both, well, the redact operator is a security related feature that can be used to limit what documents certain users see. And the geoneer stage allows you to perform location-based queries to limit the documents that come through the pipeline stage based on location. All right, so now that you know what stages exist in the aggregation pipeline, it's time for a quiz. And I think this quiz is going to be pretty straightforward. Which of the following are stages in the aggregation pipeline? Check all that apply. Match, transpose, group, skip, limit, sort, project, and unwind. Just check all that apply.